Well, I am going to read you a short section of Earth Angels, and it's towards the end of the book. So I'm hoping it's not going to give too much away, but intrigue you, hopefully. So I will continue. We left the meeting room and I felt so much more light-hearted, especially now we had more of an idea as to how many people could help us defend Earth. James took my hand and we headed towards the natural pool where our other children were. As we turned the corner, Nalik was stood there waiting and leaning against the vine-covered pillar. The moment he clapped his eyes on Holly, he straightened himself and his eyes and body literally lit up. All three of us stopped in our tracks, absolutely surprised to see Nalik there. He dipped his head at James and me. Then he moved forward, so he was right in front of our daughter. I hope you do not mind. I would like to swim with you and your family, he told her gently. Would that be okay with you, Holly? He asked, his voice quiet but masculine. Holly turned to James and me. She raised her eyebrows questioningly. I nodded my head, giving her the go-ahead. Smiling sweetly, she looked back at Nalik, who hadn't taken his eyes off her. Sure, that's okay with me, she told him, sharing her sweet smile with him. Just for a second, his already glowing shimmer got brighter as he smiled back at her. Relief showed on his face. Shall we? He asked, indicating the way. We continued towards the pool. James and I were completely intrigued listening to Nalik and Holly make small conversation. He was genuinely interested in what Holly did and didn't like, what she liked to do in her spare time, and what she wanted to do after we battled the Marillions. Holly seemed confident, telling him about herself, and appeared just as keen to find out more about him. What is your role among the angels, Nalik? Holly asked him. Nalik gave her another of his affectionate smiles. Good grief, he's totally smitten with her, I thought to myself. This isn't going to end well. I couldn't help but worry about Holly, and after everything we'd been through, the last thing I wanted was her heart being broken if it didn't work out. I am a sky angel, Nalik told her proudly. I help to heal your ozone layer and remove the poisons from the air you breathe, he added. Holly certainly looked impressed by the look on her face. I like being here on your Earth, Holly. It is the only planet I visited where there are beautiful sunsets and sunrises, he told her. I wake early to watch them, and when I have the opportunity, I sit by the ocean and watch the sunsets too. My daughter's eyes were looking more and more dreamily at Nalik. Luckily, we were arriving at the pool, and I could see Abigail and our boys in the water having fun. I could feel my heart soar with love as I watched the boys splashing each other while Abigail was trying to swim like a mermaid. Are you ready to go in? James asked, snapping me out of my reverie. Yes, I'm ready. Where do we get the swimwear? I asked as I looked around the pool area, trying to spot a pile of swimsuits and towels. I've said it before, baby, but I will say it again, he said, giving me a cheeky grin. These angels are like a well-oiled machine. Taking me by the hand, he led me to some stone steps, leading down to the glistening water. I was so confused. What the heck was I supposed to wear after swimming when my dress got soaked? Going with the flow, I started going down the steps, and just as the hem of my dress touched the water, it began to shrink. My gown was actually shrinking and reshaping to my body. The bottom of it shrank up to my butt, and the middle of the hem slid between my thighs, joining together as the top began to cling to my breasts. Within moments, I went from wearing a gown to wearing a swimsuit. I was amazed. See, well-oiled machine, baby, James said, laughing at my expression as he led me further into the water. The water felt amazing on my legs, and it was just cool enough to be refreshing. As our kids started to swim towards us, I was expecting the fish and birds to swim away, but instead, they followed the kids. There was no fear from them, and I watched in fascination as some colourful fish began to swim against Abigail as if they were racing. Fantastic, isn't it, Mum? Harrison said as he reached James and me. His tunic and trousers had shrunk just like my gown, clinging to all his muscles. Bloody hell, my son is a muscle man. I was blown away by how manly both my boys had become. Both of them were now over 6 feet tall and good looking like their dad. No wonder there were so many eyes on them from the teenage girls in and around the pool. I was instantly aware of just how many young ladies there were, and my boys were both completely oblivious to them. It's truly amazing, I told Harrison. I could feel my heart swelling. I could feel my heart swelling with love for my kids as I admired their happy faces. I suddenly wished that I hadn't got all my memories back. The awful memories of the animals dying and rotting, people and kids dying in the streets, and the horror on our children's faces. Those mental images were ingrained in my mind. However, if I hadn't have got my memories back, I wouldn't have had a stronger appreciation of my family and our planet. The glistening water felt cool on my skin as I continued down the steps. I could see tiny red fish swimming around my feet. Nalik passed me and gracefully dove into the water without even a splash, with Holly following behind. Once I was fully submerged up to my neck, I swam towards James, Abigail, and the boys, enjoying the sheer happiness emanating from them. Every now and then, I could smell the scents from the tropical flowers that surrounded the pool. All of a sudden, I realized that James and Abigail had become animal magnets. It seemed that all the birds and fish in the pool were making a beeline for my husband and daughter as they were both swimming towards me. However, I was wrong. When the birds and fish reached James and Abigail, they kept going, swimming past them and heading for me. I stopped swimming and began to tread water, as did Anthony, Harrison, Holly, and Nalik. They all watched entranced at what they were witnessing. "Dad, stop a minute," Anthony called out. James and Abigail stopped and started to tread water too, with confusion on their faces as they watched the birds and fish swim towards me. I felt something brush past my waist, and when I looked down, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Fish of all colours and sizes were swimming around me, circling my body and moving gracefully around my legs, torso, arms, and even around my neck. "Whoa, what the heck?" I said breathlessly. Every so often, I could feel one of the fish brush against my stomach. Not an aggressive bump, but almost affectionately. I felt something brush against my hair and ear, so I looked up quickly and turned my head to see what it was. There, right next to my head, was a bird similar to a stork. It was big and quite impressive. Its body was black and white, while its beak was black with a vivid red. While I looked at it in complete surprise, it gave a small squawk and then rubbed its beak against my head affectionately. I couldn't help the giggle that escaped me. Abigail and the others all began to laugh with me. "I don't understand what's going on," I declared, amused but very confused. "They all seem to have taken quite a shine to you, baby," James said as he swam up next to me. We were both in awe as all the various birds and fish surrounded me, circling around and brushing against me in a very loving manner. "I've never seen anything like this," James exclaimed. "Neither have I told him, still giggling. "They are drawn to you because of your baby," Nalik said as he reached us with Holly. "Why are they drawn to the baby, Nalik?" Holly asked. Nalik raised an arm with his palm facing towards me, using his other arm to keep himself afloat. His raised palm began to glow white. He closed his blue peacock eyes for a moment with concentration on his face. "I believe there is a connection between the baby and the creatures. I can feel it coming from your baby. The creatures can feel it too," Nalik explained. "I think the animals want to protect you, Mel, and the baby," he said. "Well, that's unexpected," I stated, feeling a bit overwhelmed. "Do you think that's going to be one of her gifts, Nalik?" Harrison asked, extremely impressed with the whole situation. I believe so, yes, Nalek replied. She may be able to communicate with animals when she has been born. We will have to wait and find out, he answered. There we go.
Oh, thank you. That was fantastic. I already read it, and now I feel like I want to reread it before I dive into the second one now. I just remembered all that wonderful part. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I think my animals love your reading voice too, because I noticed my dogs made a couple appearances like, oh, she's reading? Oh, come here.
It's the dulcet tones.
You have a great reading voice. I love listening to you read your book. I love your British accent in general, by the way. I just love.
Oh, thank
Oh my
you. Thank you.
gosh.
It's funny because I get a lot of messages from readers saying, I've just read them all, but when are you going to do an audio book? Because we want to hear you read it.
Yes.
So
I
that
feel
might be
like
a
on your
to-do
book
list.
there are a couple like British phrases in there too that I caught, and I could just hear it in your voice. Like from watching your Witty Writers show before reading the book, like I could hear you saying it that way when I read it, and I loved it. I love your accent and your energy, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first released Angels, before I started doing my show and everything, I would get comments from people saying, I think there's a typo, or I think you've done something wrong. And then I say, actually, I'm British. And they go, oh, okay, that explains it. Because Mel, her parents, she was brought up by British parents, and I do slip that in during the book to explain why she does come out with certain things. But obviously now I'm a bit more out there with the show as well. People straight away know that I'm British, and I put that on everything so that they know. Because obviously, I've got a lot of readers in the US, but also I've got a lot of readers in the UK as well. And I haven't got the funds to republish and redo all my books to suit individual markets at the moment. So I just have to say, I am British. My character is part British. hence the different terminology. But it's all good. It all works out.
I love it. No, I love it. So, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. I can't thank you enough. And I know I'm sure other readers are going to just be like, ah, I can't wait to read it after hearing your excerpt.
Oh, well,
Great excerpt.
if anybody's got any other further questions, if they want to put the questions in the comments like your earlier group members did, I'm quite happy to do Q&As or whatever you'd like me to do. That's not a problem at all.
That's perfect. Yeah, probably just tag you so that you can see the post so that you get notified.
Yes,
And also too, if they want to hold on to questions while they're reading, or but I will probably do at the end of the month. Are you good to do another interview? But where members can come and then they can also ask
absolutely.
questions there.
Absolutely. We can do it live. They can ask questions and yeah, absolutely. That'd be wonderful. I'd love to do that.
Perfect. I love it. So you've got lots of opportunities, everybody, to ask questions throughout the month, and then at the end of the month in person if you'd like to. So I'm looking forward to it.
We could do a Witty Writers Show episode.
That would be awesome.
We could do a Witty Writers Show episode all about us angels, Q&A, ask the author, and they can ask me anything they want for as long as they want. And we'll just set a day and a time, and we can just do it for as long as we want.
I
Make
love that so much because you know what, your show is amazing. And then you don't, yeah, I mean, you talk about your book a lot here and there, in there. You know, there are some similarities maybe when you're talking with other authors, but I would love to hear you just. I mean, I know I asked you a lot of questions already, but I could listen to you talk about your books forever. Like, there's just still so many questions that could go on. So it'd be great to hear more and what other people have to ask. And oh my gosh,
It's
that's
nice to get people's feedback as well, because obviously some of the group members have already read Earth Angels, so they might have different questions or they might have their own opinions on things, and it would be great to hear from them to see what they think about, is there life on other planets? Would an alien race come and save us? And all these things, so they can it'd be lovely to hear what they think.
I love
We'll
it.
do
Yeah.
that. We'll do that. We'll set a date, and then I will create the event. And we could do that at the end of the month. That'd be brilliant.
Oh my God, I love it. I can't wait. Oh
It's all
my
good.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. And then I'll be tagging you in the group all month as well, because I'm gonna every weekday I like to post like discussions from the book. So I'm gonna have to I know I'm going to be reading book 2 throughout, so I'm going to be like dying, like chomping at the bit to want to talk about this one. But I'm going to stick with Earth Angels because that's our book. Book 1. They're both fantastic. So,
Oh,
oh my gosh, thank you so much.
oh, you are so welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm thrilled that everyone picked Earth Angels. I'm super honored. I feel really, really honored.
You're the third one, so third vote in. This is
I
so
know,
exciting.
I know, I'm super excited. So thank you, everybody. You've all been so brilliant. You really, really have. And thank you, Heather, for all the work you do, because you're amazing. You really are.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I just my daughter, when I started this, she was in the first video with me starting the book club, and then right after we recorded it, she goes, "We're gonna go viral. I just know it." I'm like, "How do you even know that phrase? Where did I teach you that along the way?"
She is a smart little cookie. She really is. I love her to bits. She's
She
so
doesn't miss a
super
thing.
smart.
Oh, I love it. I love it.